We're live. Hang on. Oof, that's better. Dim it down a bit. Like my future. Oh, I'll give everybody a few minutes to join in here, hang out like we always do. Nothing super fun and exciting tonight going on. Weekend full of work. Spent all day at work yesterday. I'm running around today. Doesn't feel like much of a weekend. Yeah, for the people that said it's not live, you can see it's still kind of light out here right now. It'll get dark shortly. Tonight's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to this conversation. All right. We're going to kick it off same way we always do. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Deep Roots Rifle Company. Rooted in integrity and reliability. Elevated excellence rooted in integrity and reliability. You can get over there, hit their shop tab at deeprootsrifleco.com. Hit shop retail, and they've got everything. Not only do they build custom rifles, they've got scopes, suppressors, handguns, rifles, everything you need, they've got it. So hop over their website, figure out what you need, order it up, get it sent right to your door. Unless, of course, you need an FFL, then it's going to go to your FFL. Oh, this week, we're talking, is social media bad for hunting? And I think we've all at one point or another, and this is kind of specifically relates to duck hunting, this statement, but you've heard duck dynasty ruined duck hunting. And I think that's just entirely untrue. But on the more broad terms, the question is social media in and of itself bad for hunting? And the answer, in my opinion, is not a clear yes or no. If we continue down the path we're currently on, there's a good chance that social media will inevitably end up being very bad, detrimental to hunting. And that's not what we want. And there will always be a few bad actors. Nothing you can do about that. But we'll see. So, first thing I want to talk about as far as what social media has done to hunting is the internet clout. Okay, now this one's a doozy. And it seems to be, as of recent, that social media has driven some people to do some crazy things. An example recently here was last year with C.J. Alexander this past season, illegally poaching a 235-inch whitetail in Ohio. Now, don't get me wrong, big deer have driven men to make bad decisions for all of eternity. But it seems to be more rampant, in my opinion, as of late. And that could be due to the news, either be due to the news being so widely spread now with social media, or it's social media driving people to do extremes for internet clout. Like another one too is just recently there was a guy, a man attempted to enter a deer for the Wisconsin state record muzzleloader buck. It's now believed to have been pen raised, making it ineligible for the status. Not to mention, rumors have circulated that the deer died of natural causes in the pen and wasn't even killed by said individual. Tell me why. Why do people do that? Likes, clicks, and these people get found out quite regularly, right? You got C.J. Alexander, 90 days in jail, $43,000 in fines. A bunch of other people got in trouble that colluded with him to like aid and abet his criminal activities. The whole short of that story would be that he trespassed to kill the deer and then claimed he killed it somewhere else. And the investigation led to find out it was not pretty. But the thing too is, you know, we kind of touched on this on our episode that comes out tomorrow, specifically with C.J. Alexander, is that in the digital age now that we have with digital trail cameras and all that good stuff that send the pictures right to your phone, everybody, it's not like before where you might have seen the deer, maybe 3 or 4 other people that were in the woods saw the deer, and that was it, right? And then you killed this deer, and your picture gets taken, shows up in the newspaper, local newspaper, and they're like, hey, that looks just like the deer that was on my property. And then they're like, ah, no coincidence, huh? And then that's it, that's the end of it. But now, with all the recorded photos and everything else that goes on, you're not getting away with that. And I think that's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's bad. But don't be stupid. And then when you go and people go and do this stuff, it makes the rest of us look bad. It feeds the trophy hunting agenda, in my opinion. So we go further on with social media, and we say the old brag board versus the digital age. And I remember back when I was a kid, you could walk into any hardware store, any mom and pop hardware store, and usually back there by the counter where they sold ammunition, some of them sold guns or whatever, where you buy your hunting license, fishing bait, there'd be a cork board full of Polaroid pictures of deer that people had killed. And that was a way for you to quote unquote post your kill, have it on the board for others to see and to admire, what you shot. But now, and that had its own filter, right? Because it wasn't necessarily, the board wasn't always, although sometimes it was right at the front of the store, but usually it's in small town USA. So everybody hunts or knows somebody who hunts, and occasionally you have somebody run through that is not a hunter, and they may see it and be disgusted by the fact that you killed the deer. But they're not. They're seeing it. They can say things about it, but they can't say things for everyone else to see. They take that mental image and then they carry it to their social circle, and it just kind of stays there. But now with the digital age, the digital age has made it where anyone can share anything with everyone, and negative engagement tends to draw just as much attention, if not more, than positive engagement. Anybody out there can go and make Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever social media you choose, and then post a picture of your kill with the tongue hanging out and blood all over the place and a big gaping hole in the side. And anybody, and then make it public where everybody can see it. What's Jake have to say? Jake says social media and the big buck duck pile craze has the same effect on folks as a good looking woman. A man will spend all his time and money chasing something they won't ever get. Yeah, that's true. I can see that. Um, but you post that picture to social media, and it's, although to the hunting community, we see a whole lot more than just, we understand the story behind it, for lack of better terms, right? We've all come up on a deer after a hard track that's, the tongue is hanging out. There's blood there, obviously, because we've shot it. It's got some blood on its side, stuff like that. And and you take that photo, and you know that the signs you're looking at are usually signs of a quick and ethical kill. But to the layperson, it just looks gruesome. And then they can take that photograph, because you can take any photo you see on Facebook or any other social media platform, just screenshot it, and poof, it's gone. Now they've got it. They can go and share it with the ASPCA and whatever else they want to do, and now you're the poster child for negativity against the hunting community, and we don't want that. It only takes a minute to tuck away the tongue or wipe away some blood and position the animal more naturally before a photo to make it more presentable for a broad audience. And that may mean removing it from the spot where it died, where there's blood on the ground, take a rag out, wipe the blood away, tuck the tongue back in the mouth, or if you have to, just cut it out, close the mouth shut, tuck the legs underneath of it, make it look as natural as possible. Don't expose the exit wound to the front side of the picture, okay? And then be proud of what you killed. When you put that stuff up there too, give some context. Let's talk about how, give a story behind it. How hard you worked, all the time you put into finding food sources and whatever else for said deer, or all the time you spent scouting to kill that stringer full of ducks, or all the conservation work you put in, putting out nesting boxes, picking up trash out of waterways that led to success, right? Talk about what recipes you're going to use with meat, so on and so forth. Spread the good word of that. It's too easy to let that negativity just fester, and it's too easy to just make it to where it's harder to do that. So this one, spot burning. And I think we hear a lot of, ever since blank, insert whatever problem you want to blame, nobody used to hunt here. Now everybody, public lands are packed. There's too many hunters. And I hate when I hear hunters saying that, because what we need is more people on our side. Less people against us and more people for us. That's the whole point of recruitment and bringing in more hunters, is to get more people to come stand at the legislative table when they want to try and make rule changes that aren't in our favor. Have more voices to speak out. But the spot burning, it's a mistake, I think, that's made all too often by someone who's either new to hunting or new to sharing it on social media or whatever. And as hunters, we tend to be our own worst enemy on many different fronts. We see it all the time. Someone posted up in front of a WMA sign with a group and a strap full of ducks. Then a year later, people are complaining about how much such and such place is full of people or it's impossible to draw. You share the photo, but keep the location to yourself. Stand in front of some nondescript woods. Just put trees to your back, not the skyline. Because I've seen people I've seen photos where people have taken it on a lake, and I'm like, ooh, I know where that house is at, and I know exactly where they're at. Now, I'm not saying I'm trying to go out there and burn their spot down. After that, I'm not a fan of doing that. But you spend enough time in the woods and on the water, you start to recognize popular spots in the woods. So take a photo with the most nondescript background you can come across, and then post that. Or use the highlight feature on iPhone, and you could take whatever photo you want and then highlight yourself and your quarry there and post that. No background whatsoever. And this is photos at the boat ramp, photos in front of the WMA sign, photos out on the lake where you can see 15 different houses in the background, photos at street intersections where you're not too far away, but we can figure out where you are. My favorite thing to do is to, when I take a photo, it's like tag a location. Always tag Disney World. Best place. There's a Fort Wilderness at Disney World. Stuff like that. Not that it really throws off the true internet sleuths, but gets the point across that I'm trying to not tell you where I was, because you cannot hunt on Disney property. So, deer shaming. Now, this is one of those things where I think it's almost been a good thing for hunting, right? Because a lot of people they complain about the shaming, and I don't like it either. Let me get that out first. I don't like to see people shaming other people for a legal kill. But I think social media has pushed more people towards a quality deer management because they're afraid to get shamed. But understand, you need to just hunt your hunt, and if it's legal and it makes you happy, be proud of it. And you see people far too often getting bashed for what deer they choose to harvest. If it's legal, let it be. The rest is just a matter of opinion. Jake says, I know a dock on the Swanee real well. Yeah, even enough to pick it out in an aerial. I found that one in an aerial. In addition to that, I see people attempt to justify shooting a small yet legal buck. Just stop. Stop. If you're proud enough to shoot it and proud enough to post it to Facebook or whatever social media, don't make excuses. The one I hate to see the most is it's a cull buck. You're not culling bad genetics out of a wild herd. And 90% of the quote-unquote cull bucks I see are usually due to injury or bad nutrition on public land. They're not cull bucks. They're just not as healthy as they could be. And they've proved that in high fence ranges, right? You've heard a spike is a spike is a spike, will always be a spike. And then you look at like aged out photos of a buck that was a spike the first year. And this is a high fence range where their nutrition is tailored, their pressure's kept low, but the spike grows. He's a spike one year, a 6 point the next, and then he grows up to be like a 180-inch deer at 4.5, 5.5, 6, 7.5 years old. As he matures, I think we see a lot of people shooting younger bucks. And I don't know that in a place like here in Florida, you're gonna see a lot of massive bucks like you see in the Midwest. It's not gonna happen. It's too stinking hot. Yeah, our deer are smaller than New York and wherever else, because if the deer were 250 pounds, they would die of heat exhaustion, because it also gets a lot hotter and it's a lot more humid down here. Plus, there's not enough nutrition to sustain that type of body mass down here. We don't have the agriculture industry here anymore that you have in the Midwest and a little, even in Georgia, right? The deer in Georgia are a lot bigger than you see down here, especially when you get into West Georgia. But when you get into like mountainous parts of the state, the deer in West Tennessee are generally bigger than the deer in East Tennessee because the deer in East Tennessee live in the mountains and they've got to fight harder to get a better food source. That's all it is. In West Tennessee, there's a lot of agriculture and everything else, and they don't have to work as hard to get food. Plain and simple. If food is easy to come by, the deer are going to be big. Bam, there's recipe for success. And then the last thing I got written down here is I also see all too often people Disney World deer, like says Disney World deer don't need a subdermal layer like the northern animals. Exactly. They get food from the mouse. You got to watch out though, because if you go in there and try and get you a Disney World deer, they'll bust out the mouse tool on you. That's probably trademarked. I'll get in trouble for saying that. It seems all too often I see people reaching out, wanting to gain knowledge or ask a question, and then they're immediately met by the self-taught hunter, the guy who learned everything he knows from reading the woods like a book. Come on, man. We know you're not that talented and likely had a mentor. And there are so many people out there who, and it starts with like not understanding regulations. And I hear people Google it or read the brochure or not the right place to ask that. I mean, you're right. Facebook is not the right place to ask for an interpretation of the law. Hands down. I agree with that 100%. But what you can do, instead of telling people, don't ask that here, is say, hey man, this is how I contacted my state agency. Here's an email address. Here's a phone number. Get a hold of them and ask your question. Or maybe you can just help somebody interpret what they're reading to help them to better understand. Ask questions of their questions. Don't just be a dick. It's not worth it, man. Yes, we've all got Google, and really, I don't even know how the search feature in groups works on Facebook. That's another thing I see. If you just type that in the search bar, there's 1,000 posts about that. Come on. Well, if there's 1,000 posts, you should know the answer then, right? Just tell the guy. It's not that hard. Or volunteer to help teach somebody. Because when we don't have mentors teaching the next generation, because with social media making hunting more popular too, you have a generation of hunters that grows up wanting to hunt because they think it's cool and they see it on the internet, and then they have no one to teach them, so they just go off what they saw on the internet. And we'll say they're a duck hunter and they're watching you name it, YouTube channel, and then they go out and they show up late and they pull up right on top of you or right behind you, and they're sky busting, shooting your swing birds, shooting passing birds when birds are working. We all too often misconstrued ignorance with malice. There are way more stupid people in this world than there are mean people. And stupid's a bit of a harsh term, because they may not be legitimately stupid, but they're unknowledge, they're unlearned, not well taught, or not taught at all, self-taught. So when you're out on the duck, you're out in the blind and that boat pulls in a little late and they come over towards you, maybe it's better to say, hey man, why don't we go nose to nose, throw your decoys out, we'll all hunt together and we can learn something and make friends, instead of just arguing and fighting and slinging shells back and forth, because I've seen that too for some reason. I'm like, that's a good idea. Take a chance to teach somebody. I've had it too. Been in the deer woods. Guy walks in really late, gets right up on you, and then, oh, didn't see you there, bud. Sorry, you're camouflaged really well. I'm like, yeah, dude, I know you parked next to my truck. I heard you shut your door. I know where you're at. You came from the right direction. I'm only 500 yards away from where I parked. It's not that hard. But you can meet that guy back, wait for him back at the truck, and to be mean. You can explain, hey man, I'm hunting in here. This is how we should be doing it. If you're looking to hunt in the same area, you know, ask questions first. Have you scouted in here? The answer is no. Okay, and this is where you're hunting for the day. The answer is yes. So say, hey man, there's another spot I noticed over here that had some good sign. Saw some does in there. You have to put them on your number one buck. But you may have a guy or a gal who's just started. This is their first time, second time, third time, first season in the woods. They're getting out there, and all they want to do is kill a doe for the crock pot. And that small sliver of information can make all the difference in the world. You can make a lifelong hunting buddy by having that kind conversation. But all too often, I think people get upset. This is my spot. It's public land. Okay, it's not your spot. It's everybody's spot. It's really not your spot unless you're sitting in it. But you really should, especially during rifle season, give someone a wide berth. Bow season, I still give people a wide berth. It's not worth it. I didn't come to the woods to look at somebody else, watch somebody else hunt. It's kind of funny because I've sat here in Florida in areas where we had given each other a very wide berth, but I can see dudes 400 yards away coming from a different direction, and we're just hunting the different edges of the same huge palmetto flat. And I look across with binoculars, and they're looking at me. Don't use your scope either. That's why you carry binoculars. It's too easy to make a difference. Be the change you want to see in the hunting community. That's all there is to it. I know you've all seen the bad post, the picture of the deer with the guts hanging out, the picture of guys in front of the WMA sign. And you don't even need to, like, you see stuff like that, you don't even need to comment in the comment section. Shoot the guy a personal message, guy or gal, like, hey, you know, you don't really want to do that because X, Y, Z. This is going to hurt you in the long run, or hurt hunting in the long run. The internet clout thing, I don't know. I don't know how to put a stop to that. You kill a big buck, you should be proud of it, but you should want to do it legally. I've seen some bucks that have given me an itchy trigger finger, and I have done everything I can on some of those to just find and ride that thin gray line to be right, and still not successful, and that's okay. But it's not worth trying to hide, because you're just gonna live under a lie until you get caught, and then you look like a fool. That's not worth it. Hunt the other side of the fence where you're allowed to be, and hope for the best. Those deer move. When you see that, and look, as far as the hunt shaming or the deer shaming, just if you don't like it, keep scrolling. That's all there is. Nobody cares. You're proud enough to think your opinion matters. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. Mine doesn't either, I guess, on that note. But really, I think there's a lot of people that agree with me, though. Just keep scrolling. Oh, I don't have much else other than that. I think that social media is one of the greatest things that happen to hunting. I think that the smartphone has saved more deer than it's killed, because you spend too much time sitting there looking at it in the tree stand. Scrolling social media. I think one of the other things that hurts the most about social media is when you're having a slow day and you're scrolling like the local name your state's hunting page, and you're seeing dead deer, dead deer, dead deer, or pile string full of ducks, a bunch of ducks here, ducks there, and you're just like, man, I suck at this. Well, maybe you do, but scout better. I've been there. It sucks. It's a slow day where you're at. Tomorrow, maybe a better day for you, slower day for them. Tyke says, integrity in hunting, as with all disciplines, is paramount to the public perception of any group. 100%. Yeah. And to see hunters bash other hunters for the way they choose to legally hunt, be it, archery guys, compound bow guys, hating on crossbow guys. I think everybody hates crossbow guys. And then they start complaining, here comes the Orange Army when rifle season comes in. Well, it's legal. I like to hunt with a rifle. When rifle season comes in, take out a rifle. I don't necessarily hunt with a rifle because I like making it easier. I hunt with a rifle because I like to shoot guns. I also love shooting my longbow. So I choose to hunt with a longbow or my recurve during bow season. And I love, most of all, I think of all of them, is black powder. I just absolutely love black powder firearms. So muzzleloader season is a blast. And I like taking the muzzleloader out during rifle season. Hunt your hunt, make it legal. And you know what else I'd like to kill a deer with? A pistol. I would love to do some pistol hunting. Different strokes for different spokes, man. And when we sit here and we bash one way or another about how they like to do it, and then we turn on each other, and you advocate for one set of regulations that bites at one group of hunters versus another, whether it's deer dog hunters or crossbow hunters or whatever else, it goes along the same principle of if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and they'll take that mile 1 inch at a time, and you'll never see it coming until they come for you. And then by the time they get to you, nobody will be standing there with you because they're all gone. You got to fight for all of it. It's no fun. But this one's not as exciting this week. Tell me something more exciting next week. But there's something that needs to be said. Social media can be the death of hunting. It can also be the resurgence of it. We've got new trapping regulations coming to Florida, hopefully in July, which will allow us to finally get back to using traditional trapping methods, which would be a huge thing. You know, everybody wants to talk about turkey numbers. The biggest thing you can do for turkey numbers is start trapping and removing nest predators. And I'm not talking about just raccoons and possums. Go out on if you got private property you're hunting turkeys on, and you're not going out there with daggum andro, whatever, dump on top of the anthill to kill fire ants. Those kill poults too. Get rid of the fire ants. Get rid of the nest predators. If you can bring fire onto your property, control burn, or prescribed fire, do that. Improve the habitat. And that's going to start with the trapping. You know, there was a study done, and I wish I would have had it here in front of me, done on, they did an exclusion zone for whitetail deer, a predator exclusion zone. And they fenced off an area, kept electric fence around the outside, maintained it really well, kept all the coyotes, stuff like that out, bobcats that would predate fawns, and they noticed does actively choosing to jump said fence and then have fawns inside of there because they noticed a difference in the relative safety. Coyotes are a finicky thing. The easiest way to get rid of them is trapping. But coyotes are prolific breeders, and they sing songs to let each other know when there's not enough coyotes in the area, so you got to stay on top of it. And then raccoons, everybody likes to bait, but raccoons thrive off corn and spin feeders and an easy meal. So that's another thing you're bringing into your property. You might want to think about getting rid of those feed stations. They're only running them part of the year. Or letting somebody who loves to run them coon hounds come on your property outside of deer season and run the mess out of those coons and get them out. Hunters helping hunters. Well, guess I'll catch you guys next week with this one. I'm going to go ahead and cut this recording. I'll hang out for a minute, talk a little more. So you guys got to come to the lives on Sunday night. We'll catch you next week. Got the thermocell running out here tonight. I found it in the garage. My nice big glass of sweet tea. I gotta take the ice cubes out so it doesn't go cling, 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 cling every time I try to drink out of it. Been stuck here all week, or stuck at work all day yesterday. Back to work tomorrow. If you guys got some stuff you want to talk about, I need some ideas. I'll line them up. If you got questions, I'd love to answer them to the best of my knowledge, best of my ability. And if I can't answer them, believe me, I'm not going to bullshit you. I'll just tell you, I don't know. I'm not that guy. Because in the end, if I sit here and try to blow smoke up your ass, and then somebody more knowledgeable than me comes along, you gotta look back at me and go, that was a fool. And I do not want to be known as a fool. But, well, I reckon I'll catch y'all next week. Adios.